If you are a man over 60, you need to hear this because the truth is there is one very common vegetable sitting on your dinner plate right now that could be silently making your prostate grow larger every single day. And the shocking part, you've been told all your life that this food is healthy, but for your prostate, it may be one of the worst offenders. My name is Dr. Mohit Kara. I am a urologist and men's health specialist. And for more than 30 years, I've dedicated my career to helping men just like you protect their prostate, restore their energy, and reclaim the confidence they thought they had lost forever. I've treated thousands of men across America, and I can tell you with certainty, your prostate health is not something to ignore. Here's the paradox. We've always been told to eat more vegetables. And in most cases, that advice is true. But not all vegetables are created equal. Some heal your body while others quietly inflame it. And one in particular, though innocent looking, has been strongly linked to swelling of the prostate, weak urine flow, and those frustrating nightly bathroom trips. That's why I need you to stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to reveal the one worst vegetable that is quietly damaging your prostate, explain the science behind it, and give you the practical steps my own patients used to find relief without surgery, without drugs, and without giving up their quality of life. And in just a moment, I'll tell you exactly which vegetable it is so you can stop eating it immediately and start protecting your prostate today. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future tips on protecting your prostate and staying healthy after 60. And if you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can improve these videos for you. Now let's begin with the first and most important point. Why the prostate matters so much after the age of 60. Understanding what happens inside this small gland and how it begins to affect your daily life is the foundation for protecting your health moving forward. Why the prostate matters more after 60. 1. Why the prostate matters more after 60. When you reach your 60s, life feels different. You carry wisdom, experience, and perspective that younger men can only dream of. But alongside that comes the quiet reality of changes in your body. Changes you may not always see but certainly feel. And for men, few changes are more frustrating or more personal than those tied to the prostate. The prostate is a small gland about the size of a walnut tucked just below your bladder. For most of your life, you hardly thought about it. It simply did its job, producing the fluid that nourishes and protects your sperm. But after 60, the story often changes. This little gland tends to grow. And while the growth is usually benign, the effects are anything but minor. That extra tissue begins pressing on your urethra, the narrow tube that carries urine out of your body. Suddenly, something you never thought twice about, simply going to the bathroom, turns into a constant reminder that your body is aging. I've sat across from men who describe their nights as broken into pieces, waking every couple of hours with an urgent need to urinate. They talk about sitting in front of the toilet, waiting, frustrated, watching a weak stream trickle out. Some even admit they feel embarrassed when traveling with family, because they need to stop so often along the way. And perhaps most difficult of all, they confess how this loss of control chips away at their confidence, even in the bedroom. Now let me tell you something important. You are not alone. By the age of 60, more than half of men deal with these symptoms. And by 70, that number rises even higher. And yet so many men believe this is just the price of getting older. They shrug. They suffer in silence. And they tell themselves, nothing can be done. But the truth is, there is always something you can do. Your prostate doesn't just respond to age. It responds to how you live. Your diet, your lifestyle, your choices each and every day. This means that while you cannot turn back the clock, you can absolutely influence how your prostate behaves. I've seen men who could barely sleep through the night regain full restful sleep after making simple, targeted changes. I've seen men go from feeling chained to the bathroom to enjoying long dinners, road trips, and evenings without interruption. And here's where it gets even more surprising. Many men are unknowingly making things worse by eating a food they thought was harmless, even healthy. A food so common it appears on dinner tables across America nearly every night. Could one single vegetable really be feeding the growth of your prostate? The answer may shock you, and in just a moment, I'll reveal exactly what it is. The hidden role of food in prostate growth. 2. The hidden role of food in prostate growth. Over the years I've had countless men sit across from me in my office, convinced that their prostate problems were nothing more than bad luck or genetics. They say things like, "My father had an enlarged prostate, so it was bound to happen to me." Or they blame it entirely on age, as if turning 60 magically flips a switch. And while genetics and age certainly play a role, there's another powerful factor that most men overlook: the food they put on their plates every single day. I can't tell you how many times I've asked a patient to walk me through what he eats in a typical week. And as he lists off the meals, I can see the hidden culprits right there. He doesn't notice it because for decades he's been told that food is food, calories, nutrients, maybe some vitamins, and nothing more. But the truth is, every bite you take sends a signal to your body. Some foods calm inflammation and protect delicate tissues, while others ignite irritation and quietly add pressure to the very organ that's been keeping you up at night. Think about it this way. Your prostate is like a sponge. It reacts strongly to the chemical environment around it. A diet high in anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens, berries, and omega-3 rich fats keeps the sponge calm, flexible, and balanced. But a diet heavy in starchy vegetables, processed grains, and sugary foods makes that sponge swell, trapping fluid and creating constant irritation. That swelling presses on your bladder, squeezes your urethra, and suddenly your quality of life starts to shrink in ways you never imagined. I've seen patients transform simply by changing what they eat. One man in his late 60s told me he thought his only option was surgery because the medications left him dizzy and drained. But once we stripped away certain foods and introduced healthier replacements, his symptoms began to ease within weeks. He called me one morning almost in disbelief, telling me he had finally slept through the night without needing to rush to the bathroom. That wasn't a miracle. It was the hidden power of food, working in his favor instead of against him. The reality is food is either your ally or your enemy. Every time you sit down to a meal, you're either helping your prostate heal or feeding its growth. And here's the unsettling part. One of the most popular vegetables in American households, something most people see as completely harmless, is actually one of the biggest offenders. In the next section, I'll reveal why not every vegetable is as innocent as it looks and how this one common choice may be the reason your nights are restless and your days are filled with frustration. 3. The paradox of vegetables. The paradox of vegetables. All our lives, we've been told to eat our vegetables. It's a message hammered into us by parents, doctors, and even television ads. Vegetables are supposed to be the foundation of a healthy diet, the one food group you can never get too much of. And for the most part, that advice is sound. Leafy greens, colorful peppers, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower. These are packed with nutrients that reduce inflammation, lower cancer risk, and keep your body running smoothly. But here's where the paradox comes in. Not every vegetable is a friend to your prostate. And some of them, despite their reputation for being wholesome, can quietly fuel the very problems that keep you up at night. I've seen men nearly fall out of their chairs when I tell them this. They look at me puzzled, almost offended, and say, "Doc, are you really telling me vegetables can be bad for me?" And I understand their shock because for 60+ years, they've heard the same thing. Eat more vegetables, live longer. But the truth is more complicated. The human body is sensitive, and the prostate in particular reacts to the smallest changes in diet. Certain vegetables, especially those high in starch, don't calm your body. They irritate it. They cause blood sugar to spike, insulin to surge, and inflammation to rise. Over time, that repeated stress makes the prostate swell, pressing harder against your bladder and tightening its grip on your urethra. What makes this so tricky is that on the surface, these vegetables look harmless. They're part of family dinners. They're served at restaurants. They're baked, mashed, or fried in dozens of different ways. No one questions them because they've been accepted for generations as staples of the American diet. And yet, for a man over 60, eating them daily can be like adding fuel to a fire that's already burning low in his body. I'll never forget one patient, a retired teacher, who swore he was doing everything right. He walked daily, drank plenty of water, he avoided alcohol. But when we looked closer at his meals, he was piling his plate with the very vegetable that was aggravating his condition. He was frustrated, even angry, that something so ordinary could be working against him. And once he adjusted, the relief he felt was almost immediate. Fewer nightly trips to the bathroom, stronger flow, and a new sense of control. This is the paradox of vegetables. While most are protective, a select few can slowly and quietly undermine your health. And among them, one stands out as the worst of all. In the next part, I'll reveal exactly which vegetable you need to stop eating right away if you want to protect your prostate and reclaim your nights. The worst vegetable for prostate growth. For the worst vegetable for prostate growth. So, what is this vegetable I've been warning you about? It's not some exotic plant you've never heard of. It's not something rare or unusual. In fact, it's one of the most common foods in the American diet. A vegetable so ordinary that it shows up on plates almost every single day. That vegetable is the potato. Now I know what you're thinking. Potatoes? Really? The same food you grew up eating with Sunday roasts? The same comfort food that's been mashed, baked, and fried at nearly every family gathering? Yes, exactly that. And the reason may surprise you. Potatoes are loaded with starch. And while starch may not sound dangerous, your body processes it quickly into sugar. That sudden spike in blood sugar forces your body to release a surge of insulin, the hormone that regulates sugar. And when insulin spikes repeatedly day after day, year after year, it creates a cascade of problems. Inflammation rises, hormones shift, and the delicate tissues of the prostate begin to react. Over time, the prostate swells and stiffens, pressing against the bladder and urethra, creating all the frustrating symptoms you know too well. The weak flow, the urgency, the sleepless nights. I've seen the look on men's faces when I explain this: shock, disbelief, even a bit of denial. They say, "But doc, I thought potatoes were better than bread or pasta." And while that might be true, in some ways for the prostate, they can be even worse. The way we prepare them makes the problem bigger. Mashed potatoes loaded with cream, baked potatoes slathered with butter, French fries dripping with oil. These don't just raise blood sugar, they pour gasoline on the fire of inflammation. And when your body is already vulnerable, after 60, that fire burns hotter and faster than it used to. One man in his 70s told me he'd eaten potatoes his whole life, often twice a day. He thought they were harmless. But when he finally cut them out, he was stunned by the change. His bathroom visits dropped dramatically. His sleep returned, and for the first time in years he felt in control of his own body again. It wasn't a new pill or an expensive treatment. It was simply removing the one vegetable that was silently working against him. So yes, the potato may seem harmless, but for your prostate, it can be one of the most damaging foods you put on your plate. And once you understand how this chain reaction works inside your body, you'll see why letting go of potatoes could be one of the most powerful steps you take for your health. In the next section, I'll break down exactly what happens inside your body after you eat potatoes, and why this invisible chain reaction is so dangerous for men over 65. The chain reaction inside your body. The chain reaction inside your body. When you take a bite of a potato, it feels innocent enough. It's soft, familiar, and comforting. But what happens inside your body after you swallow it tells a very different story. Within minutes, that starchy bite is broken down into sugar, and your blood sugar level begins to climb. For a man over 60, whose metabolism is not as forgiving as it once was, that spike is sharper and more harmful than you might realize. To handle the surge, your body quickly releases insulin, a hormone designed to pull sugar out of your blood and push it into your cells for energy. At first, this seems efficient, almost helpful. But repeated over time, day after day, the constant flood of insulin begins to create stress on your system. That stress doesn't just stop with blood sugar. It spills over into hormone balance, shifting how your body uses testosterone and estrogen. This imbalance makes your prostate more likely to grow because the delicate tissues of the gland are sensitive to even the smallest hormonal changes. At the same time, the sugar and insulin spikes trigger low-grade inflammation, the silent fire that smolders inside your body. You might not feel it directly, but your prostate does. Inflammation makes the gland swell, stiffen, and press harder on your urinary passage. Suddenly you're waking up at night struggling with weak flow and wondering why your body seems to be turning against you. I've had men tell me they felt betrayed by something as ordinary as food. One patient in his late 60s confessed that after eating a plate of fries at lunch, he noticed by evening he was running to the bathroom every hour. At first he thought it was coincidence, but when he removed potatoes from his meals, the difference was undeniable. The urgency faded. His nights grew quieter and his confidence returned. That's the chain reaction in real life. What starts as a simple food choice ends up determining how freely and comfortably you live each day. What makes this so important is that you can interrupt the cycle. By identifying the foods that spark this chain reaction, you can calm the inflammation, restore hormonal balance, and give your prostate the chance to relax. You don't need to suffer in silence. And you don't need to accept these symptoms as your fate. And once you see how small changes can create dramatic improvements, the next question naturally becomes, what do men actually experience when they stop eating potatoes? The answer is inspiring. And in the next part, I'll share exactly how my patients have turned their health around without surgery or heavy medications. 6. How my patients improve without surgery. Surgery. Over the decades, I've met countless men who walked into my office believing surgery was the only path forward. They were tired, frustrated, and in many cases, embarrassed by how much control they felt they had lost over something as basic as urination. Some were waking up 5 or 6 times a night, stumbling half asleep to the bathroom only to stand there waiting for a weak stream to start. Others admitted they had begun planning their lives around bathroom access, skipping long drives, avoiding theaters, even saying no to family outings. It was heartbreaking because these men weren't just losing sleep. They were losing joy, freedom, and confidence. But what I've seen time and time again is that real improvement doesn't always require a scalpel or a prescription pad. In fact, some of the most remarkable transformations came from something as simple as changing the foods on their plate. I remember one man, a retired firefighter, who sat in my office convinced that his life would never feel normal again. He had already tried medications, but the side effects left him dizzy and drained. Surgery terrified him. When we reviewed his diet, I asked him to remove potatoes and other starchy foods for just a few weeks. Skeptical, he agreed reluctantly. 3 weeks later, he returned almost glowing. He told me he had slept through the night for the first time in years, and he no longer dreaded road trips with his grandchildren. Stories like his are not rare. I've seen men in their 70s regain stronger urine flow, men in their 60s rediscover restful sleep, and even couples tell me their intimacy improved once the constant bathroom interruption stopped. These changes are more than medical. They restore dignity, hope, and a sense of control that so many men fear is gone forever once they pass 60. The truth is, your body is more resilient than you may believe. When you stop feeding the inflammation and start giving it the chance to heal, the prostate often responds quickly. And while the idea of surgery looms large in many men's minds, the reality is that natural food-based changes can provide powerful relief. The key is knowing what to remove and what to add. And that leads us directly to the next question. If potatoes are causing harm, then what foods can you eat instead that actually protect your prostate and support your health? The answer may surprise you because nature has given us powerful alternatives that not only ease symptoms but can help you feel younger and stronger again. 7. What to eat. What to eat instead. Instead? Whenever I tell a man to cut back on potatoes, his first reaction is almost always the same. He looks at me with concern and says, "But doc, what am I supposed to eat instead? Potatoes have been on my plate my entire life." And I understand that worry because food is not just fuel. It's tradition. It's comfort. It's family. But here's the good news. There are foods that not only replace potatoes, but actually help calm inflammation, balance your hormones, and support your prostate. Choosing them is not about deprivation. It's about making your meals work for you rather than against you. Leafy greens are one of the best places to start. Spinach, kale, and arugula are rich in antioxidants and micronutrients that soothe the body. They don't spike your blood sugar, and they deliver steady nourishment that helps keep your prostate calm. Then there are cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. These contain powerful compounds that have been shown in studies to reduce the risk of prostate problems, even prostate cancer. I've had patients who once pushed these vegetables to the side of their plate, only to discover that making them the centerpiece of a meal gave them more energy and better nights of sleep. Tomatoes are another gift, especially when cooked. They're high in lycopene, a nutrient that directly protects prostate tissue from oxidative stress. Many of my patients have found that enjoying a bowl of tomato soup or a serving of marinara sauce isn't just tasty, it's therapeutic. And don't forget berries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. Their bright colors come from compounds that fight inflammation. A handful of berries a day can make a surprising difference in how your body feels. Healthy fats also play a crucial role. Avocados, nuts, and olive oil give your body the building blocks it needs to balance hormones and reduce irritation. For years, fats were unfairly labeled as dangerous. But the right kinds of fats are vital, especially for men over 60. I've seen men regain vitality, sharper focus, and steadier energy simply by swapping fried foods for these healthier options. These aren't just random suggestions. They're the exact foods I recommend to men who want to take control of their prostate health without relying on constant medication. The beauty is that these foods don't just protect your prostate, they improve your whole body. They help your heart, your brain, your energy levels, and even your mood. But while knowing what to eat is empowering, I also know that the hardest part of this journey isn't the science. It's the emotional weight of dealing with prostate problems. And that's why, in the next part, I want to speak to you not just as a doctor, but as someone who understands how deeply this struggle can affect your confidence and your sense of self. 8. Emotional reassurance. Emotional reassurance. One of the hardest things I see in my office is not just the physical discomfort men feel from prostate problems, but the emotional toll it takes on them. Many men don't talk about it openly, but I can see it in their eyes, in the way they sit across from me and hesitate before describing their symptoms. They'll say things like, "Doc, I feel like less of a man," or, "I don't want to be a burden on my wife." These words come out quietly, almost as if admitting them somehow makes the problem worse. And yet, they are some of the most powerful truths I hear because prostate issues are never just about urination. They affect dignity, confidence, and even intimacy. If you are over 60 and struggling with nightly bathroom trips, weak flow, or the constant urge to go, I want you to hear this clearly. It is not your fault. You are not broken. What you are experiencing is incredibly common, and it does not make you any less of a man. These symptoms are signals from your body asking for attention, not punishments for growing older. I've seen strong, proud men wrestle with these frustrations. And I've seen the relief on their faces when they realize there is hope, real, tangible hope, that life does not have to be this way. I remember one gentleman who told me he had stopped going out with friends because he was embarrassed about his bathroom needs. He even skipped a long-awaited family reunion because he didn't want to be the one constantly interrupting the day. That broke my heart, because he was losing more than sleep. He was losing connection, laughter, and joy. But when he learned that simple changes could help, he came back to me months later with tears in his eyes, saying he had finally enjoyed an evening out without worrying. That, to me, is the greatest victory. Your story doesn't have to be defined by your prostate. With the right knowledge and small adjustments, you can regain control and live fully again. And most importantly, you don't have to go through it alone. I've walked this journey with thousands of men, and I can assure you that relief is possible. But as much as reassurance matters, I also believe in giving you the clear, direct truth. So before we finish, I need to leave you with one final urgent warning about potatoes and your prostate. Because once you understand the bigger picture, you'll see why avoiding this one food could be the single most important choice you make for your health moving forward. Final warning and empowerment. 9. Final warning and empowerment. Let me be completely honest with you. If you are over 60 and still eating potatoes on a regular basis, you are quietly fueling the very problem that is stealing your sleep, your energy, and your peace of mind. I don't say this to scare you. I say it because I have seen firsthand how something so ordinary, so familiar, can have such a powerful impact on the prostate. Men come into my office hoping for a pill or a procedure, but the truth is often sitting right there on their dinner plate. That baked potato with butter, those French fries at lunch, the creamy mashed potatoes at dinner, they may feel like comfort, but for your prostate, they are the opposite. I've had men look me in the eye and confess how betrayed they felt when they realized this. They had believed for years that potatoes were harmless, even healthy compared to other options. And then they discovered that this simple vegetable was one of the reasons they were up 3 or 4 times a night. One of the reasons their confidence was slipping. One of the reasons they felt trapped in their own body. But I've also seen the hope and relief when they make the choice to stop. Within weeks, their symptoms ease. They tell me their nights are quieter, their days are freer, and their relationships feel lighter because they're no longer distracted or embarrassed by constant urges. Here's what I want you to know. You are not powerless. Your prostate does not have to control your life. The choice to cut out potatoes is not about giving something up. It's about gaining back the freedom to sleep, the energy to live, and the confidence to enjoy the years ahead. Too often men believe they're stuck with this condition, that aging means surrender. But I can tell you, after decades of working with men just like you, that isn't true. The smallest, smartest decisions can lead to the biggest transformations. So, let this be your warning and your empowerment. If you want to protect your prostate and reclaim your nights, start today. Remove potatoes from your diet and give your body the chance to heal. The difference it makes may surprise you. And as we move into the conclusion, I want to leave you with one final thought. Because this isn't just about one food. It's about how you choose to live the rest of your life, and the incredible potential you still have to feel strong, confident, and in control. Conclusion. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want to bring everything together for you. We began with the truth that after 60, the prostate becomes one of the most important parts of a man's health story. It is small, but its impact on your daily life is enormous. We uncovered how food plays a hidden role in either calming or aggravating the prostate, and how not all vegetables are created equal. We explored the paradox that while most vegetables heal, one in particular, the potato, does quite the opposite. We walked through the science of how starch and sugar spikes trigger inflammation, how this chain reaction quietly fuels prostate growth, and how the simple act of removing potatoes has helped so many of my patients find relief without the need for surgery. We also looked at what to eat instead. The leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, berries, tomatoes, and healthy fats that not only protect your prostate, but also give strength to your heart, your energy, and your entire body. And perhaps most importantly, I reminded you that you are not alone. That what you are going through is not a reflection of your worth or your masculinity, but a challenge that can be faced and overcome with knowledge, courage, and simple changes. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who thought their best days were behind them. Discover new freedom and vitality by making choices that seemed small at first, but grew into life-changing habits. The smile on a man's face when he tells me he finally slept through the night. The relief in his voice when he no longer feels chained to the bathroom. The pride he regains when intimacy returns to his marriage. Those are the moments that remind me why I do this work. And I want you to know that those same victories are possible for you. So here is my final message to you. If you are over 60, do not ignore your prostate. Do not assume that suffering is the price you must pay for age. Take action. Remove the foods that harm you, especially the potato, and replace them with the ones that heal. Protect your body, protect your nights, and protect your future. You still have so much life ahead of you, and you deserve to live it with confidence, strength, and peace. And as you leave today, remember this. Change is not about giving up. It's about gaining back control over your life. Your prostate doesn't define you. Your choices do. And the choice to start today could be the very decision that gives you back the freedom you thought you had lost. Gentlemen, before you go, I want to leave you with one important request. If this video spoke to you, if it gave you new hope or opened your eyes to something you hadn't realized about your health, please take a moment to give it a like. That simple click helps this message reach other men over 60 who are silently struggling with the same frustrations you've been facing. And if you know a brother, a friend, or a family member who could benefit from this knowledge, share this video with them. You never know, your action today could be the reason another man finally finds relief, sleeps through the night, or avoids unnecessary surgery. I also want to hear from you personally. Leave me a comment below and tell me what part of this message resonated with you most. Was it the hidden truth about potatoes? Was it the hope of natural solutions? Or maybe it was the reassurance that you're not alone. Your story matters, and your feedback helps me create content that truly serves you. And finally, if you'd like to support this channel and help me continue making these life-changing videos, consider making a small donation. Every contribution goes right back into creating more resources, more research, and more guidance to keep you strong, healthy, and informed. Music.